Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and six-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
Let me ask you a question. Assuming you are the proud owner of a 401k plan, have you ever wondered aloud why so many of the investments offered by the person running the 401k all start to look and sound alike? In fact, as you study and experience the ups and downs of the roller coaster ride of the stock market, you might begin to assume that no matter which stocks or mutual funds you select offered within the 401k plan, after a while, all seem to act and behave in the same manner. For instance, you probably noticed that as we record this show on November 17th, 2022, such a phenomenon this year as both stocks and bonds plummeted together. In other words, no matter which investment you selected, when the market goes up, they all go up. But when the market goes down, they all seem to go down. Which might lead a saver to believe that this one-size-fits-all offering of the various options within the 401k are all about the same, and when it comes down to trying to find the right investment suited to your specific situation, you might as well throw a dart at a dartboard. Which is why today I'm going to show you how we at Tony Walker Financial avoid the pitfalls of offering a one-size-fits-all approach to money and retirement by giving you options that include both the potential for growth and, of course, protection of your principal. So, let's get started. Well, welcome, folks, to the Worry-Free Retirement, and yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, no one-size-fits-all retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker, and before we get started, revealing to you how to avoid the pitfalls of the one-size-fits-all mantra being preached to you by the financial world, actually in the studios this morning here in Louisville, Kentucky, on this beautiful morning, is not Mr. Aaron Orander, although he's in the studio helping produce the show, nor is it Derek Hudson, who's in the studio producing the graphics for our TV show, but none other than my favorite nephew, fellow fiduciary, Mr. Wes Walker. Good morning, Wes.
Good morning, Tony. How's it going?
Good, good. Did you have a good drive up from Lexington this morning?
It was awesome. Cruise control, straight ahead. I've driven that road maybe 1,000 times at this point, so I could probably do it asleep, but I haven't tried it just yet.
You know, these newer vehicles come with this ability to just kind of drive themselves. And I've wondered about that, if you could just trust him enough to just like take a nap riding down the road. Can you imagine one day we look over and a guy's literally conked out and his car's just driving him down the road? I'm sorry.
We're a few years away from it. It sounds like it's coming down the pike, like the Teslas are going to drive themselves.
Oh,
and
they have the ability
they'll come
to
pick you up. Yeah, the robo-taxi deal. So don't be surprised if you look in the passenger seat or the driver's seat of the car next to you and there's nobody there.
I guess I'm a control freak. I'm not going to give up control of that car to a computer. I'm sorry. I wonder who might hack into it. That'd be my luck. Yeah, Susan hire somebody to hack into it, and I'll go careening off the road. Okay, Wes, you've heard my intro there, and I asked you to be on the show because let me set the stage this way. And you've probably heard, you've been in a few meetings with me when people have come in. So, we have the TV show, we have the radio show, we do all kinds of advertising. And obviously, we have a lot of prospective clients who come to see us. They don't know that much about us other than what they've heard on radio or TV. And I guess there's not a week that goes by, at least one of those. I see 20 to 30 people a week. One of those persons will go, hey, Tony, by the way, I was visiting with my advisor, or I'm shopping around. I was over at the bank, for instance, and I mentioned your name that I was going to come see you. Now, I don't know if you've seen the show script. What do you think a lot of times the advisors will say about us, which is kind of funny because they don't really know what we do, but what do they tell the prospective client who's coming to Tony Walker Financial to beware of?
That guy's just going to slap you in an annuity.
Exactly.
We've heard it time and time again. Yeah, I hear that clients over the phone, prospective clients, say the same thing. Yeah, I went and talked with someone down at the bank or talked with someone that a friend referred me to, and it's the same story. Yeah, if you go to Walker, he'll probably just slap you in an annuity.
And I'll have to say, of course, I've been in this business 38 years, and I've been licensed to sell securities since 1986. Got in the business in 84, sold annuities, dealt with money management through the 90s. Around 9/11, tell the story real quick, folks, to set the stage. I'll have to admit, I just decided to get out of the securities world for about 4 or 5 years. I just didn't do any. So what happened was, in around 2002 up until 2008, I started focusing just on annuities. Well, what happened there was, I got a reputation because we wrote a ton of annuities because not many people were doing annuities back then. Now, of course, it's kind of changed. So I think that's where the reputation got a little tainted, and you get this one-size-fits-all mantra coming from people that don't know what we do. And it's still today, here we are in 2022, people going, well, all he's going to do is sell you an annuity, which is why I wanted you on, Wes, because folks, since reintroducing the securities platform we had in about 2014, we tried to work with Vanguard. No offense to Vanguard here, but Vanguard's not set up to deal with independent fiduciaries like us. So I went back to my old staples, Charles Schwab, which I used in the 90s and early 2000s. They just wonderful platform. I mean, I think they are the leading provider of services for independent fiduciaries such as ourselves. Do a great job. And since 2017, I think it was in April when I brought on Shannon Ross, who we'll talk to in a little while. Since that time, Wes, we have well over, I know you know this, but well over 2,000 accounts with Schwab. And I think at the last check with Shannon, even all the money we distribute back to our clients, we've got about $186 million over there at Charles Schwab.
Sounds about right. Yeah. And you have to consider how much money is leaving those accounts. The typical advisor might have that many accounts. They might have that much AUM, or assets under management for the financial speak there, but they're retaining a lot of it. It doesn't go out to the clients. They're trying to keep it within their doors and within their walls because people are trying to grow it. Well, when you work with retirement clients, a lot of that money is going right back to them in the form of income, which we do quite a bit of. So
that's a real good point. And even with our split IRA, where we do still utilize annuities a great deal, much of that money then goes over to the annuities for future mailbox money. So it's a great system, and that Charles Schwab platform gives us so much flexibility. Yeah, you just mentioned that. I asked Shannon, I said, Shannon, can you go back and tell me, through our records, how much money has actually gone in, new money, to Charles Schwab? Do you know what that number is?
It's a lot more than $185 million. I don't know. What did it come out to?
For some reason, she was trying to check the records in 2017, but she saw for the last 3 years, but basically we're estimated easily over $400 million.
That sounds about right.
So, folks, I guess if you're listening there, and if you've been one of those people, maybe you visited a fellow competitor of ours, and, they've had this one-size-fits-all mantra that, hey, that Walker over there is just an annuity peddler. Folks, that is totally false, totally untrue. In fact, what we're going to show you today is not only are we really, really good at annuities and work with a lot of different companies and a lot of different types of contracts, not only do we specialize in retirement planning with our own proprietary software that nobody else has out there, not only do I have on staff besides Wes, 2 other trained salaried fiduciaries and 11 other full-time staff. And we got to give kudos to the production department. Look at Aaron and Derek over there feverishly working. Actually, I think Aaron was asleep. I just saw him. But Derek is feverishly working.
Yeah, Derek's, I can see his hands moving quickly over there. He looks like he's working feverishly, yeah.
But anyway, there's just a lot of work that goes into that. But what I'm most proud of is really since 2017, relaunching the Schwab platform, and really proud of the fact that the strides we're making to even improve all the reporting software and the trading capabilities. I mean, it's just, and for the fees we're charging, it's amazing. And so, folks, when we come back, if that's you, if you're sitting there saying, yeah, Tony, I'd like to know, what is this one-size-fits-all? What does it look like? And how do you guys over there offer a multitude of products and services that nobody else can possibly do? Well, we're going to talk about that. I'm Tony Walker, along with my favorite nephew, fellow fiduciary Wes Walker. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Juanita Jackson, Investment Services Administrator here at Tony Walker Financial. Today, I would like to give you a quick tip on account security and fraud protection. When you call to inquire about information on your account or other information, you may have noticed that one of the first things we do is ask you a series of questions to verify your identity. Now, you're not going to reach an automated line when you call into Tony Walker Financial. You're going to reach an actual person that has eyes on your account and on your protected information. You may not know this, but you can actually call in and add an additional feature, your own passcode or password or passphrase to your account that will alert us that we need to also identify you by this information. We are happy to add that enhanced security feature to your profile at any point. Just give us a call. Of course, if you have any other questions or if you need any assistance with your accounts, please give us a call at 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-9255. Thanks.
With the uncertainty of the stock market, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. To talk to me at no cost or obligation, simply log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement, and got a Tony in the Trenches that's really interesting. Wes, I'm going to read this, and you can kind of tag along because I'm going to follow this up with an article. Let me get the article out here. All right, so here's the Tony in the Trenches. We get this a lot, Wes. Tony, I know you always talk about the tax tumor. Now, for those of you who don't know what the tax tumor is, that's the amount of money that's buried inside your 401k that's really not yours, but is the IRS's. That's why we call it a tumor. And as long as your money keeps growing in that 401k, which Wall Street tells you to keep stockpiling it away, the tumor's going to grow. So that's what the tax tumor is. Okay, so Tony, you always talk about the tax tumor buried inside that 401k plan. Do you really think taxes will go up in the future? And here's the kicker to this question. And how easy would it be for our friends in Washington to raise our taxes? So first of all, Wes, you hear me talk about this all the time. We're in actually some of the lowest tax rates we've ever been in. I've been in this business 38 years. These are the lowest I've seen. Mm-hmm. So does it stand to reason, seeing as though we've got, what are we up to, 32 trillion in debt in this country? I don't know what it is
30
now.
plus trillion
it's crazy.
dollars.
Okay.
Conceptualizing $1 trillion in itself is crazy. That's if you take $100 billion, multiply that by 10, that's $1 trillion. See, we've got 30 of those in debt.
You can't fathom that.
It's crazy.
And so you got all of this continued debt. Nobody's figuring out a way to pay it back. You got inflation. Yes, I think with $30 trillion plus buried inside all these 401ks, pensions, and IRAs, if I'm a politician, I've got to have my eyes on those. That's like a big prize sitting out there. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
So all I've got to do if I want more revenue to try to, let's say, deal with the debt or spend more money or give it away to somebody is just tax more of the money when you take it out. I could do that. Now, as evidence that they can do anything they want, Wes, this was an interesting article, and I love what they call this. This came out in wealthmanagement.com. Just hit the presses on November 16th, 2022. Looks like a Justin Hannon wrote this. I love the title. Massachusetts, state of Massachusetts, voters approve millionaire's tax. Now, why would they call it the millionaire's tax, first of all?
Well, I'll bet it's an exclusive tax for only people with making $1 million or with $1 million or something like that, right?
Yeah, and also I think it's almost a good marketing ploy because right now, apparently, it's not in vogue to have much money. You're kind of there's a little bit of disdain for people who have money. Have you noticed that?
Sure. Yeah, you can kind of make them the other.
There you go.
Yeah,
they're like
the millionaires. They got plenty of money. Tax them.
So here's what they did. Folks, listen carefully to this. You may say, well, I don't even live in Massachusetts, and who cares? Well, I'm just showing you how quickly government can change. So they imposed, with a vote, 4% surtax, and it begins on January 1st, 2023. So they put this on the ballot, Wes, so the people voted for it. I thought that was interesting. It's one thing for politicians to do it, and the people are grumbling, you can't do that. Well, the people voted for it. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the phrase millionaire's tax. Did you realize if you read, there's a great book if you want to read this kind of stuff, folks, on the Federal Reserve. It's called The Creature from Jekyll Island. Have you read that book?
I have, yeah.
It's awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome book. Well, the whole premise of that, prior to 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, prior to that, government officials and politicians, everybody was trying to get a central bank organized, but the people, and most politicians knew that that'd be disastrous. Don't put a central bank in place. But they figured out if they called it the Federal Reserve, the people that crafted this, it sounded better than central bank. And it passed. So sometimes words are really important in how they phrase things. So I think that was interesting. They got these people to vote on this tax. So really what happens is if you have net income above $1 million, you're going to get taxed at an extra 4%. So let's stop there for a minute. You might say again, Tony, what does that have to do with a 401k? It has everything to do with a 401k. So let's say, and I'm just making up stuff, but let's say you and I, Wes, are politicians and we're saying, man, we need some more tax revenue. I got an idea, Wes. Won't we call it the $1 million 401k tax?
Perfect.
That sounds pretty good to me. So if you have over $1 million in 401k plans, anything you take out, we're going to tax an additional 5%. Could we do that? Could we pass that law?
Absolutely.
In the 80s, folks, people don't realize this. In the 80s, back in those days, Wes, you may not be aware of this, there were more physicians that had what was called sole practitioner offices. I went to a doctor when I was little. Had a little doctor over there on Southland Drive. He was by himself. He wasn't in a big clinic.
They had their own practice in their own building.
Funny story. I won't cuss live on air, but this is a true story. My mom told me this. When Marty, my brother, your dad, was only about 6 or 7, I think his name was Dr. Williams or something over there. Anyway, he had a little office over there off Southland Drive. Well, Marty was crying like crazy in the office because he's getting ready to get a shot. Well,
Understandable.
And Mom says, I went over, literally, I'm like 3 years old, my Tony Baloney phase. I got to put this one in the book.
Yeah.
And I kick him in the shin and call him a name. And Mom said he just laughed like crazy. But anyway, so I don't know why.
Looking out for your older brother.
I'm looking out for the older brother.
Yeah.
But anyway, where was I going with that story?
Well, I'm not sure exactly.
So let's get back on this. So we could easily say you're going to pay 5% tax.
There you go.
And the doctors. So the doctors back in the 80s, if their pension plans, a lot of them had individual pension plans. That's where I was going with it. The Dr. Williams of the world, they didn't have 401ks. They had individual pensions. If they hit certain thresholds, the government would put a surcharge on them. That happened in the 80s. So folks, here's what I'm saying. If you've got a 401k, IRA, lump sum pension, 403b plan, back to this original question, if you sit there and think that these taxes are probably going to stay this low, I'm sorry, I just don't think they will, which is all the more reason to get with someone like Tony Walker Financial to get a game plan to deal with this tax tumor now. It is not going away. And heaven forbid, it could even get bigger. So to take advantage of talking to us, we even have a little booklet online called the 401k Rollovers Made Easy. We'd be happy to talk to you by phone at no cost or obligation. Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and click on that Let's Get Started button. Okay, Wes, in the essence of time, I didn't mean to take that much time, but this has been a good conversation. Okay.
You get into old school doctor stories, you can eat up some time.
Oh, man. And I've got several more if you want to hear them.
That's okay.
All right. So you've been really doing a great job with our Schwab program. What have you kind of learned over the last several years that you've been with Tony Walker Financial and the growth of the Charles Schwab, the growth of our staff to support it, the efforts of Shannon Ross? What's your take on things right now at this stage before we get into even what we're going to do with our new reporting software?
Well, we're ahead of the curve, against most firms, and particularly the bigger firms, just because of our expertise in retirement planning is what I'm seeing. I think a lot of the big firms are mainly, like I said, geared towards growing your assets, trying to, put together the best investment mix for your personality and hopefully growing it over the long term, but there's no planning behind it. So if we can add in the planning element alongside the investments element and just show you how to use this money at the least amount of cost with the least amount of risk, let's just do it that way and take the risk and cost out of the equation. So I think a lot of folks, they don't do the annuity element. And again, we don't have annuity contracts for all of our clients, but for the saver client, they can provide that at least guaranteed income or safe accumulation. And even too, sometimes as a substitute for bonds. A lot of people don't think about that. We've got these bond values. The U.S. Aggregate Bond Index as of today is down 14.5%.
Wait a minute, whoa, slow down. What? Down?
Yeah.
That's a bond index.
Sure, yeah. So an aggregate bond index is where you basically just mash together all the bonds. That'd be your treasuries, your corporate bonds. So that amalgam of bonds to date this year is down 14.5%. And how much is an annuity contract, a fixed index annuity contract down this year? 0%. I mean, that's the worst case scenario. You could have a 0% return. So I think there's a lot of places where the traditional money manager is missing out that we can come in and really do things a lot differently.
Well, you know, it's that article we always give people from that guy, that Ibbotson fellow, I can't think of his first name, big time investor. Remember, he did a study on this, and he even found out years ago that these annuities were outpacing bonds. But when you mentioned that, that startled me. I knew they were down this year, but I didn't realize they were even down that much. That's crazy. So, by the way, folks, as we record this show in November of 22, these rates are subject to change. But we had somebody come in the other day. They moved all of their portfolio, which was mainly, quote, conservative in bonds and all that, and it had gone down. And we've dealt with some losses, too, on the Schwab side. These bonds caught us off guard, too. But basically, I finally said this. I said, I'll change the numbers up. I said, look, you got $300,000. It's losing money. It could continue to go down if interest rates go up. What if we just move that money? And they've got other monies, by the way. This isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. But I just, in theory, I said, what if we could get you a guaranteed return of 5.4%? I was acting like I was just theorizing this. And no risk, no fees. We'll send you the interest from it. There will be no loss of value. At the end of 5 years, you can take your $300,000 guaranteed and walk away. And she said, honey, if you could do that, I'll sign up today. And I laughed. I said, we can do that right now, ma'am. It's there. So fixed annuities do that. So folks, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't know what else to do, my stockbroker says hang in there. Now we're back to the annuities. We'll get back to the investments, but that's where the annuities can sometimes, as you say, take the place of bonds. Okay, now fast forward as you're learning more and more about our trading and our capabilities, and we won't name the company we're with, but I sent you off to Jacksonville, Florida recently. Tell everybody what you learned there and some of the things we're doing at Tony Walker Financial to make even better our investment portfolios and strategies for our clients.
Sure. So this company that we're going to work with does both sides of kind of the investment world. They'll help us with our billing and reporting, so they're going to make even better reports for us to go out quarterly to clients, which is awesome. They'll help with our billing process, so when we deduct our quarterly management fee, it's going to make things a lot easier. And then lastly, they've got a rebalancer tool that's going to be a lot more efficient for us to use when we're doing quarterly rebalances, as well as when we're getting cash raised for these systematic distributions when people are taking income from their Charles Schwab accounts. And then later down the road, it's going to help us with some tax loss harvesting. So it's got the ability to really key in and see what good tax loss harvesting opportunities are out there. And just all the way around, it's going to be some pretty slick stuff. So we're excited about it.
And I know when you first started with me several years ago, Wes, I knew you wanted to be involved in investments, but your interest in investments, your acumen for investments, very impressive. I mean,
Thank you.
Yeah, really impressed. And also, too, we've got, of course, Shannon Ross. We've got Keith Fuqua, who has been out on leave. We're hoping he'll return soon. We've got him there. We've got now Juanita Jackson supporting the Schwab. We've got Lisa Potter. We got Heather.
Heather Hughes is a big one, too.
And then Trey's chief compliance. Well, I mean, we have a lot of staff dedicated just to Charles Schwab. So earlier, folks, if you didn't catch the program, the reason I get a little huffy when all of our competitors say all they do is annuities, I'm spending literally hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're laughing at that. It's not funny. It's very expensive.
I understand.
Anyway, but no, we're literally spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to make this Schwab program. I think it's going to be just. It's already, I think, the envy of a lot of people out there because our fees are so low, and we're providing all these extra services. Mm-hmm. Not to even mention, we got Leanne Tinsley and TJ Timmy Reagan over there helping with all the tax planning at no cost.
It's crazy. And then
for 0.8%.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Our fee is 0.8%. It's less than 1%. Folks, the traditional money manager out there is going to be around 1.5%. That's just what it is. And they don't do the same level of planning. Usually, if you call them too, they might schedule a time to talk with you. But we a lot of times can address someone's concerns when they call in, and that comes up a lot. Somebody's called in with a question about Schwab. We can get them an answer almost immediately. So I think that's what a lot of people like, and doing it at such low cost is pretty awesome.
Yeah, we had a meeting the other day with a lady that's decided to move over old money, and she just wasn't getting service and a lot of fees. And I looked around. I had you beside me, Trey beside me. You all had pen and paper in hand trying to take notes. Heather was in Bowling Green, but on the phone. So she's literally talking with the owner of the company, 3 salaried fiduciaries looking out for her best interest, and all this planning and everything for 0.8%. She kind of finally just said, I'd be crazy not to do this. And, of course, she's been a happy camper. So, again, just appreciate. Oh, by the way, speaking of Jacksonville, I can't let this go in our remaining time. Aaron's giving me kind of the 2-minute warning. You did sneak your golf clubs down there.
Yeah.
Did
It's
you have an opportunity?
$30 to check a bag with American Airlines. Had to.
Oh my gosh,
It's cheap.
Yeah, that is cheap. Yeah, a lot cheaper than the green fees. Tell everybody where you played.
Well, you were nice enough to treat me to a round of golf. I got to play TPC Sawgrass down there in Jacksonville. Beautiful course. It was awesome. Got linked up with a couple Canadians down there. And
wait a minute. Let me. Derek's got the audio of that.
Okay, yeah.
This
I wanted
is
to
this
see if you could
drive.
play it.
Yeah, this is this drive. I love this reaction. Go ahead and play the reaction to. This was number 18, where you apparently cranked a 300-plus drive.
This is 18. It's a beautiful hole, big, long par 4. But, yeah, go ahead and play that
All right,
audio.
let it rip, Derek.
Yes, sir. Best of the day, buddy.
Well, Wes, I'm certainly glad you got to play TPC, but more importantly, I'm glad you got to meet with these folks down there. So again, next up, what I thought we would do, I'm going to close out our little segment because we're about out of time, and I've got to get to Shannon Ross here because now, folks, what I want to do, Wes is kind of in charge of the investment, rebalancing, counseling people because he is a fiduciary, but now I want to go over to our own Shannon Ross. I mean, where would you put Shannon on a pedestal? It's pretty high, isn't it?
Shannon Ross does so much for our Schwab platform and is so organized. She really is the bedrock of it, and she's just awesome, seriously.
And you know, I look back when she first started with me. Of course, Heather was helping a lot back then, but really it was Shannon's responsibility to get this thing off the ground administratively. So we got so much kudos to Shannon. So right now, what I'm going to do, we're going to go to Shannon Ross, and what Shannon's going to do is talk to us about the administrative, the reporting, all the things that go into making it easy, listen folks, easy for you to understand your quarterly reports that we're going to send you from Charles Schwab. So let's go to Shannon right now. Well, good morning, Shannon.
Good morning to you, Tony.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And just briefly tell the audience a little bit about your role at Tony Walker Financial as it pertains to the Charles Schwab department.
Of course. So I am the investment services coordinator here for Tony Walker Financial, which basically means I lead the brokerage department and take care of anything and everything that has to do with our Charles Schwab investment accounts. And
we've got how many accounts now with Charles Schwab?
Over 2,100 brokerage accounts currently.
Wow. We so much appreciate your efforts and the staff there, Shannon. Okay, you know me, I always want to get better, continuous improvement. So what are we getting ready to launch in terms of improving not only our trading capabilities, but our reporting software so that our clients can better understand the reports we send them?
Well, we are always trying to improve our processes here as a firm, as well as leverage new technologies available to us. And one of the ways we're doing that is we're transitioning to a new vendor for our billing and reporting software, which generates the quarterly reports for our brokerage clients. And we're hoping this will help our clients be able to understand and have better readability of their brokerage statements so they can see clearly what they have and what their fees are, and just be able to read those statements very easily.
Well, Shannon, we appreciate all the work you're doing and working hard to make sure that our clients understand what they've got. And for you and the staff there, we just thank you so much for providing this valuable service to our clients. So you make it a good one.
You too, Tony. Thanks.
You're welcome. Well, folks, after listening earlier to my favorite nephew, fellow fiduciary Wes Walker, about our trading services, our overall advice, the low fees, and now we've just heard from our own Shannon Ross, who has done a great job of creating a cast and crew to be sure that we get you those reports and they're accurate and we can provide the service needs you're looking for. I've got a question for you. If you're sitting out there right now with a 401k, 403b plan, maybe you're trying to make a decision over a lump sum pension, maybe you've recently received an inheritance or sold a piece of property. I don't know what the case may be, but you might be sitting there saying, you know what, I have nobody on my side to help guide me, and all I'm getting is this one-size-fits-all approach for these specific products, whether somebody's wanting to slap me in an annuity or a money manager is charging me 1.5% and telling me to hang in there when the market fails. Well, folks, we are here to help at Tony Walker Financial. So if you'd like to talk to me personally over the phone, we call it a free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. It's easy to do. Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started, or call us at 270-843-9380. That's 270-843-9380. And if it warrants, I'll be happy to meet with you in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. We'll talk to you next week on the Worry-Free Retirement, but you remember, between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.